for me at least. So.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, I started it. It was just like a minute or two. My internet's also been weird today. I think there's a problem with my Ethernet cord, so stream might die or something at some
Okay.
point. So, oh no,
You could
wait.
for your stream, you could like make me full screen, and then you could just like use like a part of me. I don't know, just an idea.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to accomplish by just I screwed it up. So like you cannot leave this otherwise. Okay.
I'm not gonna leave it. I'm not moving.
Not I'm talking to myself, but in like second person. I don't know.
You're good.
Like I can't leave. If I click on Discord, all of a sudden it like
It breaks it.
yeah, it breaks like the face cam, so then I have to redo it. So
It's kind of sad.
it is. Okay, hold on. Trying this again. Technology, dude. I thought we had it. Thought we had it.
It's hard, dude.
Right. Like 10th tries the charm here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we chat. What's up, Tommy? Now why is it not? Because like, how I have to do this, I have to go to window capture and then press. It like captures your specific.
Would it be possible to pop out my video and capture that specific window?
Possibly. What do you mean?
So like, go to Discord, click on me.
Yep.
And then there should be pop out. If you see that.
Pop out. Where would
It's
that
in the
be?
lower. Hover over my face, and then there is like right next to the full screen. There should be a little box that says pop out.
Oh.
Click that, and then it's a specific.
Let's try that.
Separate, yeah, give that a shot.
Okay.
Because then you should be able to move around, and it still captures it.
Right. Well, now it's not showing that. Okay. This is fine, I think.
Okay.
This is fine. I'm sure he's doing it on purpose. I'm just kidding. God dang it.
Sabotaging.
Oh, because I don't think I'm doing... No, wait. Window capture. Yeah, that's the one. And then let me... Give me just one sec. Oh, yeah, that works. Cool, that works way better.
Sweet.
All right, yay. Okay, we're good. Everything's good. I'm not clicking on anything else. We're done.
Nice, we did
Let's
it.
just start. So
solve the riddle.
Yes. All right. So what's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever Mattchu Unsure podcast. I don't know how often this is gonna be, or if we're gonna do this weekly. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So, I mean, who knows? But as for my first episode, at least, we're here with Unsure, the dad of Chicagoland Melee, if you will, the father. So, yeah. So how you doing tonight, man?
Doing great. Just I'm excited to hear from people. It's been a while since like non-net play talking to people, so it's kind of nice.
I know, yeah, for real. So, did you want to start? Because we're just gonna... I have a couple topics that I want to talk about, but obviously, you know, if you have any that we could... And obviously, chat, if you want to, you know, throw out any topics as well that you want us to talk about, you know...
You can start.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So my first topic, I'm gonna write this in chat, is frankly the future of IRL tournaments, and obviously I think you and I both knew this was like coming. It's definitely gonna be a question, but so for right now, obviously, I'm not like a TO of actually like physical tournaments. Obviously, like I do a lot for like the Discord server and stuff like that, but I'm not like actually physically like, you know, running any tournaments. And you're like the head honcho of a lot of them. So I was wondering at first, what is there like a plan to possibly reopen, or are we just at the mercy of like the government, or, you know, how would opening weeklies back up work, if you know anything?
Yeah, I think it's really hard because like you don't want to be the first one to do it, really, unless you're going to do it really well. If you're going to do it really well, though, like you have to do it pretty much perfect, and I think you have to listen to the community and see exactly how they want it and how they feel comfortable going to events. Whether that means you have to limit it to whatever state regulations are. In my opinion, I think it should be lower than that amount. So say the state says only 10 people can gather, I would want to be lower than that.
Okay.
I also want to consider that tournaments might not be the most pressing thing to come back. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think NetPlay has a really good handle on kind of how the community is right now. Obviously, we all want to be back and see each other, but
Yeah.
it's honestly the risk isn't quite there. Like, it's what we don't gain enough for it to be worth risking the people that we're surrounded with, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the part that worries me. I think I could see a future where it comes back in the next year or so, but I think it's going to be really tough. I think TOs need to be really, really diligent on how they bring it back, whether that's like disinfecting it and having smaller events, not just using the Smash as an example,
Yeah.
smaller type events like that, right? Where you don't have, 40, 50 people in a room, just
Right.
smaller event kind of things. Um, Screened in some way, like, hey, we know this guy's this and this, they're probably okay kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do like a wellness check or something like that. I know that just for my job, I have to occasionally go on site for work.
Mm-hmm.
And before I have to go on site, I have to fill out some sort of like honor system wellness check, which is just like, have I been in contact with anyone? No. Have I had like any symptoms of COVID? No. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what could be a potential risk factor? And as long as those things are kind of checked that they're no, they kind of get filtered into the okay, they're probably fine to go on site or do whatever. So it's possible that we could see something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously it's so hard and like, like you said, we all want to come back, but like, the community's already like I would say small, like in the grand scheme of things, so it's like, if one of us goes down at a tournament, we're probably all going down and that's, that would just suck and it could affect many things. And obviously I think the health of everybody comes first. We all love Melee, but we gotta make sure that everybody's taken care of. And if IRL events were to come back, I think like invitationals where you could like socially distance and disinfect things, would be the best thing. And what's so hard about the virus too is it's just, some people are just asymptomatic. They don't show any symptoms. So it's like you think you might not have it, but then all of a sudden you do, and it's like you just don't know. And that's what's so difficult. It's not like, okay, like it's very obvious, sometimes it's completely different from person to person, which makes it really hard to tackle like opening back up like tournaments and stuff like that.
Right. I think it makes it very hard. I just using the example that I don't know if I don't follow him, I think, but it just happened. It came on my timeline. I think Chroma tweeted this out talking about how there was a SoCal local yesterday, and it was a disaster. I mean, they had like
Really?
almost 50 people, and it was ran by just non-grassroots people. Like an esports arena just decided to run it, and
Oh
it got
no.
like 50 people. They had no face masks or like it was just bad. Like it was a bad
Yikes.
overall thing. And someone I saw talk about what they could potentially do to come back at some point was there's a lot of options, like completely disinfect everything, um, chairs, tables, everything, social distance to a maximum amount. Everyone has a dual setup, so you'd have every setup split, and you'd be on opposite sides of each other, and then there are 6 feet in between that. Then there are
Oh, thank you,
no.
Pika, for the tweet link.
Yes, thank you. There's no friendlies allowed. There's a separate like holding zone. I don't know what the right word that he used, but there's a separate waiting area essentially until your next match. Everything is done online pay. All pre-reg is done pay. So it's possible that could be an option. I don't know how soon it would be, but it's a possibility.
Real quick before we go on, Flush says, I never knew how much I needed beard and mustache, I'm sure, but holy moly. That's what I said when I joined the call. The first thing, I'm like, holy crap.
Just letting it grow out. Just letting it grow out. I wish you would fill in a little, but, that's okay. We get the rest of it is okay.
Yeah, no one knows how much you need it, and then all of a sudden you're here and you're like, holy crap, what's up? But yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing. I mean, obviously, I think it's so it's such a blessing that, like, even though net play is obviously never going to be as good as IRL, the fact that we still can have, like, tournaments and have some sort of competition and have people still actively play, because if we didn't have, like, an online, I don't think people would play Melee, because they're like, there's only so much solo grinding that I can do, you know? There's only so many ledge dashes I can practice before I'm like, dude, I gotta play someone, you know? I'm sick of
Right.
playing level 1 Fox, you know? Like, so it's definitely, I think net play is definitely like a huge thing, and I'm very glad that we have that at least. So we have some semblance of normalcy, and obviously, you know, it's just so difficult, and we're kind of just at the mercy of the virus, the government, and, you know, it really just depends, and there's so many factors, and it's just so hard right now.
Right. I think there's a lot that goes into it. And one that was honestly, it's going to be one of the talking points that I have later is
Okay.
how people can improve without going out or without even net play, right? Like what they can do in this time. And I think it's challenging because it's so easy to get that instant feedback when you play like someone better than you or even worse than you, and you're like, oh, you know, they hit me really hard for doing something dumb. How do you get that sort of feedback when you're just playing alone? So
Right.
there's a lot of topics that I have for that you can work
Ooh.
on.
Actually, I was gonna talk about that, but go to let's go to a next topic. You go ahead and have a topic, but I definitely wanted to talk about that same thing, which is really funny that you brought that up.
Sure, sure. I guess one that I've been thinking about lately is so we've seen a lot of net play tournaments for not only the Midwest, but for Rona Rumble, East Coast Fridays, the Save as Untitled events, and just kind of looking at attendance. I had some attendance numbers pulled up a little while ago, and the first couple. This is pretty standard to LAN events. They always get the first couple ones huge,
Right.
which is normal, and then without aggressive advertising and like being like, why aren't you joining? Like, talk to your friends, get them to join. Usually they fall off pretty hard. Um, I think the only exception has been the Save as Untitled one has been pretty strong, and the Smurf one, Ginger Shit
Oh
Show.
yeah.
They've they've both pretty much held up. I think there's been an oversaturation of the Rona Rumbles just in terms of like if you look at like the regions that can enter, there's a huge Venn diagram where
Yeah.
like us as in Chicago, we can enter and I think 4 different Rona Rumbles, but I could be wrong.
Really.
I'm pretty sure. Like we can for sure enter in East Coast and Midwest, but we can
Yeah.
lag test for I think Mid South and another one. It's I mean like there's so many, and I think that really it hurts in a weird way, but it's interesting that even though there's unlimited accessibility in terms of not leaving your house, um, and being able to enter in these events, we still see attendance falling. It's an interesting thing,
Yeah.
which might mean that like to compare it to even real like LAN events, distance might not be a huge factor, right? Because
Right.
the delimiting factor is that the net play like element, right? I can enter from my bed or whatever,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't matter. I can enter
Gonna
wherever.
play in the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter, right? Like I could. Uh, but with LAN events, I mean, you still see attendance going down, and net play events you still see going down. So it's like, what is really at the cause of that?
Yeah,
I'd I'd love to know what you think about something like that.
that's actually really interesting that you brought that up. I mean, obviously, I feel like we've been really lucky with the 4-star Clash, because I feel like we solidly get like 25 plus entrants every week,
Hmm.
like 30-ish, you know, somewhere in that ballpark. I think maybe most was like 36 or something. I can't remember. But yeah, I feel like ours is like very solid, and half the time I feel like we've definitely had like over, I don't know the exact numbers, but we've probably had like 100 unique entrants play. Obviously not every week, but like just
Right.
in general, like the amount of players that have entered. So it's really it is really interesting, because one of the biggest things I always thought is when like some decrease in attendance happens, I always thought, well, people would be like, oh, I have to drive or go somewhere like an hour away from my house or something. And I always thought that was a big like deterrent, but clearly if it's happening on netplay, that means, you know, maybe some people it's just probably not a factor that we think is there, which is really interesting. And you know, obviously, brings into question like what other underlying factors, or what factors actually drive like entering. Because the thing about Rona Rumble too is there's prize bonuses, there's
Yep.
bounties and stuff. So you think, oh, everybody's gonna enter. Obviously, you have to pay to enter, but I mean, like, at the same time, you still get good experience and stuff, and you're giving back to the community. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just people don't like to spend money because I mean I know 4 Star Clash is free, and we did do a couple paid brackets, but those didn't get that many entrants. Maybe we got like 8 or something, and obviously we only limited that to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But it does beg the question: what other factors come into play? And I can't say that for sure. I wouldn't know. I haven't like analyzed all of it or anything, but it is interesting that you brought that up, and I didn't even realize that attendance for those were declined as well. I knew Homemade Waffles had to cancel a couple just because the attendance was low.
Yep.
So I don't know. But
I mean, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there's so much that goes into it, and just from my time of hosting events, which has been, I guess at this point about 3 years now, like you can see the factors that attribute to making an event good and then making an event lose attendance, and it's weird. What doesn't draw attendance, I guess, is a better way to put that.
Yeah.
And the big one that surprised me the most was pot bonuses. Pot bonuses, maybe, I think they really scare a lot of low to mid-level players because there's such an attraction to the high-level players of going, of how they can't get that quick money or whatever. And that's just an idea. I don't know why exactly people don't attend tournaments with pot bonuses, even if it's like $20 or something like that. They just don't do it.
Oh my god, hi, dude. I haven't seen you in so long.
I miss that guy.
I know, me too. What a legend.
I miss everyone. Everyone who's been in chat, I'm like, man, I miss all you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry to interrupt you. Keep
Not
going.
all good. It's all good. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's weird. Pot bonuses are one for sure. Distance, I don't know if it really affects it. I think venue doesn't really either. I think people just want to go play Melee, and they want good people to be there, and they want their friends to be there. So wherever is accessible to their friends, that's where they're gonna go.
Yeah, for sure. What's up, Pleba? Yeah, I think that's interesting too, because if my birthday bash, it was really interesting because one, that was free entry, and it had a $100 prize pool in it, and it got 36 entrants, which I think is a healthy amount. But it is interesting because I did see a lot of high level players, but a lot of the lower level players that usually enter the bracket, I felt like didn't enter. So I feel like, which is bizarre to me because like it was free to enter, so like there's you could win $100 and you have nothing to lose, Right. So it's very interesting, and I don't know exactly. I mean, that's also an interesting point is that pot bonuses might bring out the top level players but deter low level players, and I think you could see that definitely with like the paid bracket that we had at first. Was there were like I think everybody entered, or almost like 90% of the players that entered those paid brackets were all like PR, and then we maybe had like Taligas and one other person, and then so I it's interesting. I think, yeah, it's definitely a deterrent to low level because they're like, oh, there's high level players, and I'm going to get bodied or something. So, but that, brings into question, like, how is pot bonus, like, oh, is that Sergio in the background?
Yeah.
Hi, Sergio. Like, how, okay, how, like, do you put in a pot bonus every time, or do you keep it free? Like, I don't know. It's so difficult.
I think it's tough because like the conventional thought of like why you have a pot bonus is the pot bonus attracts the big fish, and because of the big fish will bring little fish, right? And then it's like because of that, like, yeah, I don't know. It should be cyclical. It's like trickle down Melee economics. It doesn't really work, right? It's I don't know. It's hard. I think you have to bring something unique and cool and something that people actually want to they don't want to miss. A pot bonus, they can miss that. They can't miss, let's say, an Arcadian. right?
Right.
That'll always get great attendance because it's a unique format that they feel like they have a legitimate chance to win
Mm-hmm.
or at least do well in. And the skill barrier is much lower than
Mm-hmm.
another tournament. If I enter in Rona Rumble tomorrow, there's a very good chance I am not even close to like I don't know, like a top 8 seed, right?
Yeah.
If I enter in the Chicago tournament tomorrow, like I'm going to be a top 8 seed most likely.
Yeah.
Like so with the events that have less on the line, people are more inclined to enter because they have less to lose and they have more opportunity of doing well at less
Mm-hmm.
of a cost. So it's like you see that in smaller events for sure.
Yeah. That's a really good point, actually.
Like the invitationals, like people are so much more interested in that, or just a smaller event in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's so crazy. I mean, there's so many factors, and at the end of the day, I mean, who knows? Like, what. I mean, because at the end of the day, some people might just never enter, some people will always enter, and I don't know. It's like maybe just trying to get those people in between who are on the fence,
Right.
getting them over. Because like I've seen a lot of people on net play on like Anthers and stuff. Um, so who like they're from like Rolling Meadows or a suburb close to me, and I've never heard of them in my life.
Right.
I'm like, why don't you go to tournaments? And they're like, I just don't like it or something, and it always blows my mind because I'm like, there's so many Melee players that I don't know about. There was literally one time who was streaming, and he's from my hometown of Lake Zurich, and he was streaming Melee and he challenged me. I'm like, wait, you're from Lake Zurich? No way. Like, I only know like 2 people in Lake Zurich that play Melee with me. And he's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, what the heck? Like, there's so many people that like play it but just don't go to tournaments, which I find really intriguing.
Mm-hmm. It's
Oh,
I mean that's a huge part of the audience, and it's whether I mean it's just a group of people like playing Melee, right? Like if you look at it, that's how probably 95% of all of us started, was just us and a group of friends playing Melee, and we're like, hey, where does this go? And maybe 4 of us, 2 or 3 of us branched off and looked into the competitive scene, right? I'm
mm-hmm.
sure that you have a bunch of friends that played Melee with you at the start and don't really play it anymore. Like when I started at DePaul, it was me and Joseph and then like 5 others, and we all played competitively. And
Mm-hmm.
then over time, no, everyone stopped playing except me and Joseph. So that's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
But
Um,
friends are so huge. It's like you
yeah.
want to share these experiences with others, and I mean this is a bigger topic in all, but like we're gonna start seeing more top players like start leaving in the next couple of years, just because like if they can't sustain themselves through Melee, um, and their friends start leaving, and then they start leaving, the
Mm-hmm.
people that they're considered friends of were like, well, I don't want to go to a tournament where this guy's not going, and
Right.
like, well, now my friends don't go, and I'm not winning the event. What's the point of me even playing, right? So I think
Mm-hmm.
we're going to see a drop off in that. But anyway, that's another big topic.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy though that the game's survived this long. That there's like a completely almost new generation of players. So.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think
Right.
that RF posed? Do you guys think that more than 50% of players have net play? I don't have net play, and so I'm very curious to know if people are playing. That's a really good question, actually. I feel like actually the number would be like higher of people who have net play because I think it's very accessible, and I think like the amount of people that actually have net play rather than go to tournaments would probably be higher than like people who actually like go to tournaments.
I think the amount's actually pretty low that
You
play
think?
net play. I think it's pretty low. I think it's actually extremely low. In terms of the competitive base and just the casual base, I think net play is really low, especially the people who play on Smash Ladder. I think that's an even smaller subset.
Mm.
I think the majority of people who play Melee today are a group of friends playing a vanilla Melee ISO on a flat screen TV somewhere. I think that is the biggest audience. Not even joking.
Probably.
Like I truly believe that.
Mm. Do you think like the amount of competitive players have are more than 50% who have net play, or still less than 50%?
I think of the competitive base, probably 50% at least have net play of
Mm-hmm.
some regard, whether that's they're on Smash Ladder or they just play like person to person.
Mm-hmm.
I think it I probably of the competitive people who go to tournaments, 50% have net play.
Yeah,
If I
that's
had
what
to
the audience I was talking about. But you're probably right. Like a lot of like people probably just play it with their friends. I mean, I know a bunch of my friends who play Melee. One of my friends, his tag is Virgil. Used to be Daunted. He
Oh,
does not
Daunted, yeah, I
have
know.
he does not have net play. He
No.
legit only plays on CRT. And at one time I asked him, "You want net play?" And he's like, "I don't have net play." So, but he likes playing it competitively. So it's like, probably a lot of people play Melee, but just don't have net play, which I don't know. That's a weird thought. I never considered like the percentage of like competitive players who actually have like net play, because obviously there's so many like Melee has so many viewers sometimes. Like you get up to like tens of thousands of viewers, and it's like, but where are all these players? And I think
Right.
a lot of people are just like, they're kind of like casual competitive where they like watching it but they don't like actually playing it, so it's
Yeah.
weird. Like I feel like a big sum of the player, or like not even the player base, I think a lot of people enjoy it but just don't play it. Or like the same goes with like CRT, they play it with their friends but they don't really like go on net play or something, so it's weird.
Yep.
But I
No,
never
I mean, you're
considered
totally
that.
right. You're totally right. And it's like that's an interesting audience that I think every tournament organizer really tries to capture. And I don't know if you can. Like,
Hmm.
how do you get groups of friends to come to events that might not just be what they want to do? They just want to hang out and play Melee. And I
Yeah.
think that's the Smash Fest. And I'm sure that there are dozens of Smash Fests happening all over. Like even before COVID happened or anything.
Hmm.
Like I guarantee you, every single day or weekend or something like that, there were dozens of Smash Fests that are happening in Chicago that are with people that aren't even part of CLM. Like they
Yeah.
just like Melee, they know of Melee, and they just don't go to anything. But they just want to play, and they don't
Actually,
they don't have any interest in going to like any
right.
events.
Actually, it's funny. The only tournament, like, I think I've won technically with people who actually played was, there was back when I was I think it was going into senior year of high school, or
Hmm.
I was a senior at the time. But anywho's, yeah, I think I was a senior in high school. There were a bunch of Libertyville kids that I don't even remember how I met them. Oh, actually, I went to GHQ Tuesday on practice, or like training Tuesdays or whatever, and there were like two kids my age, and they were playing, and I'm like, "Where are you guys from?" And they're like, "Oh, we're from Libertyville. We're actually having a Smash Fest soon," and they ended up inviting me,
That's
and it was actually crazy because they had like 15 Libertyville high school kids all play Melee, and it was so crazy. But it was like a Smash Fest, and the
yep,
only ever time I saw them was at Smash and Splash 5,
yeah,
which I think major draw out a lot of people because they're like, I want to go, and even if I don't win, I want to be part of the crowd. I want to see like my favorite players or stuff like
yep,
that. But it's really interesting because like the thing about the Smash Fest and stuff is there are probably a lot of players that play that we don't know of because they never ever go to tournaments. But like I never knew that there were like 15 kids from Libertyville High School who played Melee, and then I went over and I ended up winning. But I mean, they weren't that good, but it was still so cool because I was like, what the hell? There's like so many people my age that I had zero idea about.
right.
So,
I mean, that's part of the huge draw of, in my opinion, like part of the reason that I did the really weird Arcadian format, right? Like that's
mhm.
weird enough to get some of the people that are like, oh, why would I come out to a normal event? It's like this one's so weird, I gotta go out, or like just any of that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like why are like Smash and Splash is so unique in that it offers something that is more than just the event and seeing the top players. It's like, oh,
Right.
I can sell this to my parents that I'm going to a water park. It's not like it's
Mhm.
not weird kind of thing because like whether we want to avoid it or not, it's like playing video games and going out and playing these things competitively might have like a negative like social view. At least
Right.
it did in the last 5 years. I think it's gone down a little bit, but
Yeah.
um, I mean, just saying, "Oh, I'm going to go to the water park with friends for a weekend." That sounds incredible. And you
Yeah.
happen to play Melee? Okay, that's even better. So,
Yeah. I mean, going off of that, I mean, if I had told my parents, when I was like 15, 16, when I first started getting into Melee, and I told them, one day I'm going to travel to California to go to a tournament called Genesis
mhm,
to play a video game, there would be
yeah,
like, no fucking way, no.
no,
Part of my language, but it's just like, they would have been like, no way.
right,
So but it's interesting how times change and how But I bet a lot of people, that's why Smash and Splash is a thing, and I think it would be interesting, maybe that's a topic for another day, to see how, like, majors can incorporate other side things, not just the tournament, so, like, even if you're not that hardcore, if you're casual, there could also be, like, a thing on the side, like how SmashCon, I've never been, but I know they have, like, a bunch of vendors and stuff, and it's all, like, Smash themed, so it could be almost like a Comic-Con sort of thing, even if you're casual.
And that's kind of the that's been kind of the path that most majors have been taking. Is they really want to appeal to that market because it's huge, and it's like, how do you capture that the most? And it's like Smash and Splash had any water park event has a really good way of capturing that kind of audience. And it's like, I don't think many other events can really do that, because at the end of the day, you can go to any other convention, or I can order any of that stuff online. But how do you have that experience, like, combined with Melee? And I think that's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, for sure. Scarzo says, when's Smashler coming back?
I think that's an impossible question, but I wish I could answer it, Scarzo.
Classified.
I don't know.
Plebis
when
says,
the vaccine comes out, no, I have no idea.
Yeah, Plebis says that's exactly what I did for the first SNS.
Right.
And Fizz says your stash is killing it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Why don't we move on then? I know you were going to talk about improvement as well, and I actually wanted to ask you this. I think it'll play into your question, so I'm going to start first, if you don't mind.
Sure. Of course. I got another one then after that. So.
Okay. So my question is, I've seen a lot of people in like the how do I put it? I've seen a lot of actually new Melee players in this time. And I think a lot of that might just be because, they're bored during quarantine and they're like, you know what, I might as well give it a shot. Or like a lot of Ultimate players might be sick of the Ultimate Online and be like, maybe I could give Melee a chance. And a lot of the time I see new players and they're like, I'm newish, I've only been playing 3 months, I've only been playing a couple weeks, I'm trying, to get my fundamentals down. So my big question is, what advice can we give to new players to help them better get into the game, or what can we do to help new players remain in the scene rather than just try it and then be like, it's not for me,
Right. I think that's like a really good question that you can ask that at any skill level of player, right? If I ask you right now, Mattchu,
okay,
what would make you want to play Melee forever? What would your answer be? What just one aspect of the game, just one aspect. What is something so unique and cool that's only Melee that would make you want to play forever?
I think the skill ceiling is just like, I know even if I win a set, I just know how much more that I have left to improve, because I watch a pro and I'm just like, I'm nowhere close, Or I play someone and I think, yeah, I'm good, and then I play a PR player, I get bodied, and then all of a sudden I realize, wait a minute, the PR players get bodied by someone, and I realize all the levels. So it's just like the skill ceiling's so high. And Mango one time said, Melee's so sick because you can become like Goku and Vegeta. Why would you retire? You just keep leveling up, And I think that's what keeps me going, is just the skill ceiling and wanting to see how much I can push myself.
Okay. So it's kind of like self-improvement and like bettering yourself every time you play kind of thing. Okay. So I think that's a pretty standard answer. That's really good. Like, I think you're going to get a lot of that kind of thing. Something you might even be able to just tell players is like, just play what you enjoy. Like, there is no path, right? Like, when you start, you have to find out exactly why you want to play the game. Is it to be with friends? Then that's what you do. You hang out with friends and you play, and if you get better, then that's it. If the person says, how do I get better, or what is my path for improvement, ask what they enjoy about the game. And so you want to see your own self-improvement. And whatever that path might be, then you have to really find out exactly what that means to you and how you can get better on that path. For me, it was like, all right, I wanted to emulate Mango. It's like, well, that didn't work out.
Yeah. Look where we are now.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to do my best to kind of be like that. So every day I just would practice like shuffles, moonwalk, just random stuff like that. I broke so many analog sticks, or like just destroyed them, just because I'd like spin the stick and it would just be so loose by the end of it, just trying to be like Mango. But let
Yeah.
me tell you, in my first 6 months of playing, my moonwalks were perfect.
Ooh.
But I don't know.
Tell. Tell.
But I don't know. That's just what I like to do. So I like to see that same self improvement, do cool things,
Hmm.
and just see what's possible in the engine. And that's still kind of what it is now. Now it's
Yeah.
like now I get inspiration from watching other cool players. I'm like, okay, that was cool. How do I incorporate that into my gameplay and
Yeah.
like build off what I have?
Skurza
Just tell them,
says,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
no, that's it. Yeah, travel.
Yeah, travel. I mean, that's a great point. I mean, I firmly believe that traveling is like good for the soul. I mean, when I went to Genesis, I even though like I mean, I did relatively well in like pools. I almost made it out. I lost to H2 and Kira, so like expected.
So very honorable losses.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like, but um like it's just so nice. I mean, like cuz there's this sense of like camaraderie as a region when you go to like a major, and like at Genesis I felt it so much more than like Smash and Splash, because I think since it was close to Chicago, there were a lot of the Chicagoland people, but there was only like 30ish, maybe less than that at Genesis. So it was like when your boy is playing, you're cheering him on. I remember I was in the hotel room. I woke up. I realized Eggy was playing on stream. I like dropped everything. I'm like, I gotta go, because he's playing like Swedish Delight or something. I was like, oh, he's probably not gonna win, but I'm like, I'm dropping everything. I'm cheering him on, and there's like
Right.
this sense of like just togetherness as a region when you're at like a super major, and I think that's such a cool feeling. I've never felt that in my life, and then Genesis happened, and there's just this sense of
It's
like
yeah.
this regional bond, and I think that's really cool. So I
It's
think,
kind of crazy. I mean, it's beautiful. I think
hmm
it's really cool, and like you even find those little subsections even in your local, um, you find those even in your local areas, and I think that's really cool too. I'd like to honestly, when we come back at some point, really kind of get that kind of sense of community like back. Like right now, we're all pretty passive like towards each other. I don't think that there's any like super strong bonds that's
hmm
even within the region. I want like people being like, "Yo, talk to this guy right now. He'll give you advice for this." Like
hmm
he's super cool, and then people become good friends. Obviously, you can't force friendships or
yeah,
anything like
right.
that, but like you want to just start harboring these kind of good relationships and being like, this guy, you two should talk. You'd get along. Like
hmm
this is what's good, and just kind of like match make people like that, because it builds really good friendships, and like people are like, well, I want to help this guy improve, and then
Right,
I want to improve because this guy's getting better.
right.
Fizz also raised a good point. That was great. Thanks, guys. I
Yeah, I
appreciate it.
remember that. I
That,
was not there. But that sounds awesome.
that was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. I remember at Genesis when I think Fluid was recording it, and he got me. I was like really nervous. I think that was my second to last set in pools, and I he like grabbed me some water at one point,
Yep.
and like my hand was shaking. I think it's probably on the Facebook group, but my hand was like I was so nervous, but it was so nice to just have my boys like Tech Death, Joseph behind me. Like it's just so cool. And I think it's such a cool bond. And I think new players, need to, going back to like new players and stuff, it's like just the bond you make with people. I mean, the amount of connections that the community has offered me personally is amazing, because I remember, when I've been streaming a lot more, and I need like a sub badge, and I messaged a Discord server. I'm like, does anybody know an artist? And inevitably someone was like, yeah, I know an artist, because like it's just the community has connections, and the more people you meet, the more connections you make. And I think that's something really actually practical about having a community like this, is not only are you doing something fun, you also like, you're like, hey, I know a guy, like there's all these like different talents, but we all come into this one like kind of hub to play Melee, and then we just go back to our, other thing. So I think that's also a really good selling point.
I think it's really cool. I think it's a unique thing that's like for the game. It's like if you go to like say like a book club or whatever, you might not have that sort of sense of camaraderie. Like, yeah, that guy read the hell out of that book. That was incredible. But like this competition sense, and then you leave it, but you're still talking with them. Be like, wow, this is really cool. I want to check up
Mhm.
how they're doing, see if they're getting better, and it's I don't know. It's a really cool thing.
Yeah. Michael versus Leffen is still the peak of Chicago Melee, probably.
Yes, it was. When he beat
Oh.
him, I think he three-stocked him that game one.
Was that
I
at
just
Full
was like,
Bloom?
no, it was at Smash and Splash 4.
Oh, right. Okay. I remember. Did he get ninth that tournament? I wasn't
He
there at
did.
that one.
Yeah,
Dude,
he
that's
got ninth.
insane, dude.
It was crazy.
And Skurza says, I got more professional connections from Melee than through college. Honestly, so far, that's the same for me. I've only done
Yeah.
one semester, but I mean, I've met so many people with so many, like, different things and so many connections. And I've made, like, I've maybe had, like, a couple college buddies. And obviously, I commute, so it's harder. But, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually crazy the amount of connections.
You'll find a lot more through Melee, like just getting to know people. It's really easy. And just if you just ask people like, "Hey, what do you do?" or it's like, "What are you interested in?" They're like, "Oh, I know someone that did that." So, it just
Right.
works out.
I go to Elmhurst College, so it's like in, well,
Bob goes
obviously
there.
Elmhurst. It's like a suburban college. So yeah, I mean, going back to like what can we do to help players improve? I mean, obviously we talked, or like, you know, we've talked about how they can like get in, but like
So I
what
think
should we
there's
tell
yeah.
new players, you know, to help them the best?
I think there's an easy answer and a hard answer. The easy
Mm-hmm.
answer is shuffle, right? Like figure out the movement, figure out how you can literally move in the game. That's the easy answer to improvement. The hard question then, the hard path is figure out what they want to do and then what you can do to help them improve.
Mm.
That's the really hard part is like
Yeah.
how you can line them up with other players to help them improve because that's going to keep them in forever. If you get them someone that they're reliant on or someone else is the other way, like they're just not going to give up because like someone else is leaning on them.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy too because like Melee is such a journey like life, you know. Your perspective change, you know. You might start out like being like I want to be the best in the world or the greatest of all time, you know. And then as you go on, you're like maybe I just want to have like a wife and kids instead, but I still want to be good. So you're like okay, maybe I make it on like PR or something, you know. It's like the thing is that's hard is like yeah they might have a starting goal and I think that's important to help them with their starting goal, but it's also difficult because things change. I mean, a lot of people I've talked to, you know, I'm like, how come you don't go to tournaments anymore? And they're just like, you know, life's getting in the way, you know, like I have all these responsibilities. Like they still like it, but it's just hard because, you know, priorities change, you know. Some people think I'm going Melee full time and other people are just like they start that way and then their perspective changes or they want something different. So
I think it's totally okay to change those goalposts, right? Like I don't think the expectation for every player is to stay playing Melee forever,
right.
right? I think that's it's impossible. But I think it's fine. If like someone's like, "Hey, I want to be PR," and like that's your goal, and like that's it, cool. That's just where it ends. Some people are like, "I want to be PR," and then they realize they're like, "Okay, well maybe that doesn't work. Maybe I'm gonna go lower." Or someone's like, "Wow, getting PR was too easy. Like I want to get to top 100."
Hmm.
So I don't know. I think it's totally fine if people just change what their motivation is or their goalpost essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you know, everybody has their own like journey and there's no right or wrong way to do it. And I think, you know, a lot of the time people might be like intimidated at first and be like, well, maybe I don't want to be the best. Maybe I just want to be good enough to beat my group of friends or something, you know? And that's totally okay. But it's just like, you know, we just got to make sure that, you know, we help them, like you said, in whatever way, you know, however they want to get better, you know, if they just want to, you know, be good at like Pichu or something, you know, like whatever their goal is, you know. I mean, and for me, you know, I definitely want to be, you know, like an amazing player, but Melee is also more, it's just like the community, the friendships, you know, all the connections, and so, you know, it's hard to get new players to see all that at first, but, you know, I mean, it's just
Maybe
hard.
pretty scary if you just tell them that.
Yeah.
That's pretty
You're gonna
scary.
meet so many people, and then they'll be like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, but it is really interesting that we've been, at least on my experience, I've been seeing a lot of people be like, I'm trying to get into the game, probably now more than like Ultimate's release, just because I think, I don't know what the factors are. Obviously, we were talking about factors of like attendance, so who knows? There's so many different factors. But I think it might just be one, you know, quarantine, they have a lot of free time possibly, and two, just like, you know, they might just be sick of like Ultimate Online or something, and they're like,
Yeah.
hey, I heard Netplay for Melee was good, like, let me give that a shot, you know? So, It's
I think
just
the stakes are so low right now. Like it's
yeah.
even lower than before, and
Mm-hmm.
like it's so accessible for people that play Ultimate because they already have the adapter, most likely.
Right.
Like chance of them not having it be very, I'd be very surprised.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, they might as well give it a shot, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It probably takes like, I mean, if you're me, it'll take like an hour to figure out how to do, but for most people, it'll probably take 10 minutes to get everything set up. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
No, that's wrong,
Ben.
screws up. Ben's been playing forever.
Yeah.
Dude's been playing for a minute. He's good. He hasn't been as good as he is right now forever, but he's been playing a while. He's
Yeah.
also part of the thing I want to talk about, which is a good segue into this.
Okay.
Um, is how you can improve without being able to play anyone. Uh,
Ooh.
I've been saying this since like the day that I saw Ben play, and
Mm-hmm.
I've always been impressed by this that no one else does it. Is how fast he is. You don't
Oh
have
my
to.
god.
I don't have to know another human in this world besides myself to get faster in melee.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, if you guys don't know how fast Ben is, you guys should just
He's
go
so
ahead,
fast.
just pull up a VOD. Like he's literally like he might be one of the fastest players I've ever seen. Not saying that he's fast and amazing, but he's so fast that like it makes up for some things that aren't as good.
Dude,
Uh,
I know. I sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna
no,
add
that's
real quick. Like Ben, every single week, during like 4-star Clash, I'm always like, dude, look at his platform movement. Like
yeah.
he's doing like some crazy dashes, like shield drop, and then like waveland, some aerial. I'm like, oh my god, like it always blows my mind. I'm like, this is like plup movement right now. What the fuck? So yeah.
It's it's crazy. He's really fast, and that's pretty much really like what I want to talk about is like what people need to do to practice and be closer to that, like those quick players.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what the biggest thing that I was thinking of is like what you can do is just pull up Uncle Punch, turn up fast fall timings, and don't even worry about L cancel, but just fast fall. You
Yeah.
want every single fast fall to be one frame, and then you
Mm-hmm.
need to go and hit a character and then make sure every time you hit them, you're fast falling on frame one.
Right.
Every single action you do has to be frame one fast fall, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll be like crazy fast if you figure out how you can do that.
Yeah. For sure. Um. Yeah, when RF says when a player's starting and thinking about picking a character, do you recommend a high tier or a character they feel more comfortable with? That's really difficult.
Play who they like. Start with who you like, and if you decide that you don't want to get beat up all the time, then
mhm,
go to a different character. But I think it's totally fine too.
yeah.
I would always recommend just based off their like what they're looking to do. If they're looking to become the best in the world, just play Martha Fox, and
Mhm,
then you'll be fine. But
yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah, because it's interesting because at GHQ before quarantine began, there was this new guy, and he's like, "I'm gonna play Game and Watch," and then like literally, I was fine. I was like, "Okay, do what you want to do. I'll help you out." And but then next week he immediately went to like Marth, and he's like, "I'm
yep,
having a lot of fun with Marth." So like, I think yeah, like just say who you're comfortable with, and I think they'll come to a realization like, I'm gonna play a top tier now. And I mean, if they stick with like Bowser or whatever, good for them. But I definitely think whoever they're comfortable with
hmm
is definitely a good way to go. Like you shouldn't be like, oh, you should only play this character to start.
yeah, because
So
that's the first thing that like someone's gonna like they're just gonna immediately like stop listening to you. They're like, wow, this guy told me I shouldn't play my character who I've been playing since I was 6.
yeah,
Like, wow, now I don't want to play this game at all. It's like, well, play you want, but understand that it's gonna be a real big challenge if you try to do that.
yeah. So but going back to like how you can improve like by yourself,
Yeah.
what's helped me a lot, I feel like, um, is analysis. I think that's actually so underrated, and I don't think a lot of players do it. I think, even like not, you don't have to watch yourself either. I mean, when I first started doing like analysis and stuff, I did not do it myself. I know it's gonna be harder for some characters because obviously Falco's like very common. But I saw that Ginger had like his own analysis videos,
Yep.
and I would just watch him analyze so I could see, okay, what should I look for when I do it myself. So it's kind of like not only did I learn stuff from Ginger, like tips in game, I also learned how to analyze. So I think a lot of people, when they're first learning how to analyze, should watch someone else do it, and and
I
then they
agree.
get like an idea of, okay, this is what I can look for. And obviously when you start doing it more and more, you can kind of, get your own ideas. But I think analysis is a great way to improve without having like a physical person, whether you watch someone else's gameplay or yourself. Because I think you can take a lot of people's ideas and then incorporate it. And then if you watch yourself, obviously you're gonna learn a ton, because you might think, oh, like my movement is mango. Why am I losing? And then you're like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I dash dancing here? This has no purpose. So I think analysis is a huge part. I know a lot of people don't really like to do it, and to some extent I don't really like to do it either. I'm like, I just want to play, but it's so helpful to improve.
You got to do it. It's if you wanna see tangible improvement, you have to bite the bullet and look at yourself lose, because
Yeah.
that's the best way to improve.
Yeah, I still gotta look at my Rona Rumble. I've been like, oh,
It's
I've played
hard,
so shitty, but
that's like a huge part of the mental game too. Most
mhm,
players that struggle with mental game don't study because
mhm,
they're afraid of seeing like how they just didn't live up to their own expectations.
right, right.
Got to do it.
Yeah, it's really
It's hard.
hard.
It's hard.
I mean, hey, I still struggle with that too. So it's not like I'm just saying, oh, analyze. I'm perfect at doing it. Like, I don't think anybody likes watching themselves. Let's be real. But like,
Zane, dude, he might be the only one.
he might be, like, yeah. But because whenever I watch myself, I'm like, oh, dude, why did I do that? What? I just get so angry.
I think that's okay though, like to get
Mhm.
angry at yourself. Because as long as you can like walk away with something else, like from it, then I think it's fine. You're just
Mhm.
like, oh, that was dumb, but this is what would have made it good, and then it should give you motivation to keep practicing that. I
Right.
think if you do that, then like you're in a way better position.
Scarzo asks, did you start with Falco like he did?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Hmm.
Yeah, I started with Falco, and then I played. I think I played against a Puff, and was like, "Wow, this was. I don't like that." And then I went
Hmm.
to Fox. I was like, oh, I'll just play Fox for Puff, and then just full time switch to Fox.
Ober says he watches VOD same day. Yeah, I
I know
know.
he
I
does.
know the hard
Ober,
way.
I'm no, I'm very impressed. Ober's got some of the best work ethic.
I
No,
remember.
shut up, Easy Dog. But Ober definitely has probably the best work ethic of his level player, and
Yeah.
which means then he won't be his level player for a while if
Yeah.
people don't catch up with that. So that's good.
Hmm.
It's
Um.
it's very good.
I remember. I think it was like my first tournament with Ober. It was like Wallop something or other. I forget what number. And I played Ober, and it was my first time playing him, and he had this like weird little tiny thing that like recorded the set or something, and it like so he could like watch it back. And I remember being like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I don't watch any of my sets, and this guy is bringing like his own recording device so he can watch it back later. I'm like, he's just playing my shitty Falco. What? But like, it's crazy because I genuinely bet he learns a lot from it. So
Part of it is hard too, because like you do need time to really sit and think about um, kind of what you learned and like reflect on like how you lost.
mhm.
And I think without giving yourself enough space, I think that's the only flaw with what people who instantly look at their stuff do, because then they leave the expectation on themselves to immediately adapt to what they just learned. You need time. You need a lot of
Yeah.
time to think about that.
Hmm.
If anyone here has played card games, and this is the only thing that I can think of to compare it like this, but if you ever played card games at a competitive level, like the old thought was that you never change your deck the day of the event. And the same thought, in my opinion, is Melee is like you've done all this time of practicing these things the day of the event, like to lead up to that day of the event.
Hmm.
And then if you hear the day of the event this brand new thing, it's going to be really hard to incorporate that naturally into your
Yeah.
gameplay. It's going to be too hard.
Yeah.
And I think you should just stick with what your game plan is and how you can continue to adapt, and you'll be good.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because I think I heard that like your brain while you're sleeping like takes time to like look over what you learned that day, and
Yeah.
like a lot of the time a lot of that improvement comes from like sleeping, and like or like taking a break even, because I play like hard ass games on my stream like Celeste and stuff, and I play it for like an hour and a half, and I'm just stuck on one part, and I'm like, I can't do it, and I come back and I beat it in like 5 minutes after taking like an hour long break. I'm like, what the hell? But sometimes, yeah, you just need that time to just digest it. If you keep throwing yourself at it or just immediately trying to like incorporate something, I know it's not like the best example, but it's just like, sometimes your brain just needs time to just, diffuse it, and then like once you think it over, it kind of comes naturally.
You definitely need time to think, and just like reflect. It's just a natural thing.
Yeah, so yeah, analysis is super important. I think learning how to analyze is super important, which is why I think like if you don't know how to analyze, I think for me at least, watching someone else analyze and seeing how they did it at the very least was very helpful for me at first. Especially because when you first start out, you're like, there's so many things. What I like to do is I usually just watch the set raw at first, and I try to pick up any observation that I make initially, and then I'll slow it down slowly and try to break things down. But at first, I'm like, all right, initial reactions, and then I'm going to, like, break it down after. So that way I'm not trying to break down things first so I can get, like, a general idea. So sometimes you got to watch it, like, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've actually, when I was first learning how to study, because I think it's totally a thing you need to learn how to do. Excuse me. Vro was kind of my mentor for that. And he talked about the 3 different ways that he studies Melee: micro, macro, and then what is the other way that he said? I don't remember what it was. It was just micro and macro, the big ways. He puts Melee to double speed and doesn't really watch the game, but kind of just the first pass through or one of the last pass throughs is he'll put the game at double the speed and watch the zones where the characters are at most of the time. So, like, if you ever go through and watch HBox's game, now it's nice because people have, like, heat maps because of Slippy.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I know, so, like, it's insane.
But if you've been doing this, which I did for a long time, studied HBox, I've always known that he hangs out on that right platform more, specifically to the edge of the platforms on all of them. And then if you really break that down and think of why would a character do that, what advantages do they get? Well, he can get slide off from up air. He can get an easy escape. If they attack, he can react and fall through up air. He can run off back air. Like, there's so much that Puff has to the very edge of that platform, and he's just comfortable. If he's like a righty, his hand is naturally this is not going to look well probably, but his hand is naturally going to go away from his his wrist more easily, so that back air input might be a little easier than compared to the other side. Just a thought, like, if you just take that kind of like look into it. But then micro is taking it down to half speed, which is what I do for most of my VOD analysis, and looking at like really the minutia of it. I think it's really hard to not be too critical of yourself when you're looking at Melee and half speed, and then you go back to normal. You're like, this game's fast. Give yourself a little credit.
Yeah, for sure. So, but yeah, it's hard. No one likes watching themselves, but like sometimes it's the fastest way you can improve, because I mean, if you don't watch yourself, you don't realize like little habits you do because you think you're perfect while you're playing. I mean, most of the time, sometimes you get destroyed and you're like, I shouldn't have done that. But sometimes it's hard because you're trying to digest what your opponent's doing, what you should do, and it's hard to like totally see the big picture when you're in like the little moments. Sometimes you like get lost in the details. So that's why I think analysis is so good. Is you don't have to watch. It's like you don't have to. Oh, if I want to watch that back, I have to rewind all the way. It's like no, you could break it down frame by frame if you want. So
yeah, absolutely could. I think the analysis is the quickest way for someone to stop saying, I lost a game because of this. There are a million different scenarios why you lost a game. It's like it's not only, I missed a ledge dash and lost because of that. It's like, no, you missed the ledge dash because you didn't practice, but like that's not why you lost the game. You lost because of a million other reasons. And it's like if you analyze, you'll stop saying that. Right. You should at least.
Yeah, totally. So anything else, or should we move on?
I mean, that's pretty much the couple talking points that I had. I didn't really have much else, but if anyone else in the chat or anything like that has any questions, happy to talk about stuff.
Yeah, because those were my two like those are some of my biggest questions. It's actually funny that we kind of were on the same wavelength. So if anybody in the chat wants us to talk about anything, try to keep it Melee related, but like whatever. If you want to talk about something else, I guess we'll go for that for a little bit, and then I'm probably gonna do something. I don't know if I've been playing a lot of Valorant recently, which has been kind of fun, but kind of drives me insane at the same time.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty good though.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite team-based game.
Yeah, I haven't played it, but it seems good.
Yeah, for sure. Slippy's super underrated for improvement.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree with that.
I need to use it a lot more. Just look at like stats or whatever. I don't even know like half of what Slippy can do. I know Cadence knows a lot about it. I should ask about it because oh my god, there's a lot of stuff.
Like this is the only thing I'll say about the Smashler, but I mean like every Smashler VOD is available, kind of thing. Like if those Slippy VODs, like we upload all of them, Sergio lovingly hands them out. Like they all exist there. If you want to improve, besides being like at the event and like talking to the good players that are there, it's like you can see all your videos. Like it's all available for you. What other event has everything laid out for you?
Yeah,
like that path. It's pretty good. But I don't know. It would be really cool to see other locals kind of follow that path and really give their players their money's worth.
Yeah, for sure. Sleep is definitely underrated for internalizing. Yeah, it really is. I mean, hell, sometimes like I'll feel like really down mentally, and I just sleep, and I completely forget why I was feeling like down or whatever, you know. So like, sleep is a magical thing. I know a lot of people are like, I only get like 4 hours, but I'm like, if I don't get like 8 hours, it's over for me. So.
Yeah, you need sleep. Sleep's very important.
Yeah. I wish Andrew, unsure MD in the house. Sleep's very important. I wish every local has. Yeah, I know it would probably be hard for a lot of people, like you know, to get the resources to do that. But I mean, like you said, get your money's worth. You know, like even if you go O2, you know, it's still important, and that's why I'm probably gonna watch my Rona VODs tomorrow because I had a couple days to you know be pissed, and now it's like all right, time to figure it out. No more chickening out.
Good. I think that's really healthy.
Yeah. HNC doesn't have a stream. What?
I didn't even know they were Hax's nightclub. I didn't even know they're back. No, they're not back.
No way. I feel like we would have heard.
They did it. There's no way they're back.
I feel like Hax would have tweeted something about it. So, I mean, it used to have a stream. I know that for a fact.
Yep.
Gloomshot.
They did it. Yeah, they did have a stream before.
They definitely had a stream.
They had a pretty good stream. I think the hard part about that is like they can't play on a standard version of Slippy, so like they can't stream through Slippy. They have to play through a capture card or through an HD capture card, which is fine. It's just not quite as clear as what Slippy can offer.
Yeah, I'm really sad because I remember before coronavirus, we literally had that new Tuesday weekly set up.
I know.
And I wouldn't have been able to go to it anyway because my college class interfered right at the time. So, I mean, but it would have been I would have been so curious to hear how the monitors went and, you know, how the community reacted, if there was any issue, you know, it would have been great to hear. So, it's unfortunate, but I mean, hey.
Right. I mean, I think they're actually doing pretty well, which, if I'm going to be honest, it's not even meant to be just, I mean, it's an interesting thing to see what can survive through something like this. And they appear to be doing okay.
Okay.
Which is good.
The business, you mean?
Yeah, the business.
Okay, so yeah, because
I'm hoping that when and if at some point in the eventual future that we do get to come back, that is an option for us. Hopefully. Yeah.
It's also super unfortunate that the Smash World Tour had to take place the year coronavirus broke out. It's like, are you serious? It could happen 2019, 2018. It's like, nope. But, you know, I just hope that it doesn't get canceled altogether. I hope they can do something at, you know, next year, maybe 2022. But, you know,
I think it's going to pose a real big challenge to the people that threw that money forward because they want to see that return immediately. Otherwise, it's all just sitting blank, right? Like,
Plita says he forgot about the tour. I know, right? I mean, I remember when it was announced I was going to GHQ that Sunday, and I remember, like, I was in my car. I was about 10 minutes away, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god!" I was like popping off so hard in my car. So I'm really, that's like the biggest bummer to me. Is it's like, who knows if they'll ever do that, or if they do, they might have to wait a couple years to try and do it again, so they can, financially do it again, which
Right.
fucking sucks. Melee's cursed sometimes, but I mean, it's not just Melee; it's everything. So
It's unfortunate. I think it was a net positive for the community, even if I don't agree with everything that they were doing. Like, I think overall it's probably good.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, chat, if you have any things you want us to talk about, I'd say like 2 minutes. If that, then we could just probably wrap it up. I had a really good time. Oh, I just realized I put ways to improve. Good job spelling. So I had a really good time talking about it. I love talking, as probably everybody knows. But I mean, there was a lot of good talking points tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm down to do it again if you ever want to.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if we'll do it weekly or something. We'll figure it out.
Sure.
Someone needs a tour too. I'm not the biggest fan of VGBC. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of VGBC. But I mean, it's still cool that they did it anyway. So like, I gotta give them credits for that.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it, but my views definitely align closer with yours, Skirzo, too. Like,
Yeah.
more a fan of the Summit.
Yeah, me too. But if nobody else has anything, I think unsure if you don't have anything. I guess we
Not
can
really.
wrap it up.
Enter the events, guys. I mean, they're free. Like,
Yeah.
enter the Chicago ones.
Mhm.
Like, they're good. They're ran well. Y'all should just enter.
I try. I try my best.
know. I
Sometimes
appreciate it.
sometimes I drop the ball, but
Nah, you're fine. Just post on CLM. Just spam CLM. Be like, hey, this is coming up next week. Oh,
yeah, I gotta
People
message
just
the
miss it.
Facebook group more.
People just miss it, and it's like, it's not really a fault of theirs. They just, they don't see it, or like they forget to sign up. You're like, oh yeah, I got.
I genuinely feel bad when we have to like deny entry. The problem is, I know like people are probably like, dude, you're such a dick to like just let people in. My problem is I'm just very strict, and I'm like, if you have like a job, like you're not gonna be able to walk in 15 minutes late, and people will just be like, it's fine, like like I'm just very like strict. Like I'm just playing it fair. I'm not letting anybody enter late just because
I think it's good. It's like you got it. You have a rule. Just leave it at that. Otherwise, there's no like playing favorites or whatever.
Right.
I think it's fine. Keep it
Yeah.
like that.
The worst one was Ferocity didn't enter my birthday tournament in time. He's like, "Yo, Mattchu, can I join?" I'm like, "God damn it, I love him so much," and I was like, so
sorry.
tempted to break it, but I'm like, "No, I can't." Like, it'd just be so unfair. Like, I gotta be consistent. So I know it's a pain in the keister, but sometimes I hate it too. But I gotta do it. But
Yeah.
life's hard for a TO. Dude, after doing all this, I totally am like, Jesus Christ. I have so much more respect for like TOs because there's so much crap,
Everyone's a critic.
Yeah, I know, right? So
It's fun. It's fun though. I
yeah.
like it.
So, anyways, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I see we're at like 11 viewers right now, which actually I didn't think we would get that many. So I'm super happy with how it turned out. So we can definitely do it again. So definitely follow for more. We're gonna be doing the singles again this week probably. Yeah, TO and we'll also play in the tourney sucks. Yeah, that's why I don't enter 4-star Clash. I wanted to last week, but then both you and Matt couldn't, so it was like, So, yeah. But yeah, it was really fun. I'm glad, I hope you all enjoyed it. I might upload it to my YouTube channel or something, but, yeah, it was super fun. Unsure, thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your words. Thank you for everything you do for Chicago.
You too, dude.
And
You're killing it right now.
I'm trying. I know I suck sometimes, but
I don't know. You're good. You're good.
all right.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. I will see you around. Send me a message if you want to talk. Join the Discord.
Yes, of course.
See you later.
All right, bye, guys.